Humans are complex creatures. We have the capacity to feel several emotions all at once, even when these feelings are contradictory in nature, even those of us who look up to face the same issues as the average Joe. Recently, the legend of the golf world, Rory McIlroy, found himself in a similar predicament when he experienced excitement, disappointment, and a desire for vengeance all at once. Let's look at factors that contributed to this. For starters, what's making him feel so many emotions? The thing about McIlroy is that he's very involved. We're not even kidding, folks. Gen Z would refer to this man as an empath because of how immersed he gets into everything. A lot of his colleagues and coworkers don't show the same sort of enthusiasm as him. A very recent example of this is his commentary on the ongoing President's Cup. So for those of us familiar with the world of golf, we know that the President's Cup is a golfing tournament that essentially boils down to, well, the USA versus the rest of the world, with one team representing the United States, obviously, and the other becoming a collective representative of everyone else. Talk about diversity. This is followed by an older tradition, the Ryder Cup, which contains matches between Europe and the United States. That's right, folks. Gone are the days when imperial powers competed via military force. Now we do it through sports. Anyway, coming back to the topic at hand, while his contemporaries like Fitzpatrick and Lowry showed little to no interest in the game, Rory had a lot to say. He's so passionate about the sport that he ended up watching all of it, and that too pretty closely. Of course, that was going to instigate particular emotions in him. We're not surprised. Moving on, what did he have to say? Now, most of the time, we don't really care much for people's opinions if they don't seem worth our time. Why should we waste minutes talking about someone else's analysis of a situation? But the reason why in this case we are compelled to care is, well, there are multiple reasons. But the first one is that this man is someone who commands respect, and his opinion deserves to be brought to attention. Not everyone is able to spend over 100 weeks as the #1 golfer according to the official World Golf Ranking, nor is everyone capable of being a member of both the European and the PGA Tours. But this man has been able to achieve both these feats. And then again, his opinion demands attention, mostly because what he has to say makes a lot of sense. He's not talking because he can, he's talking because he knows what he's talking about. There are several subjects that he's addressed, including his allegiance to the internationals, his desire to take revenge from St. Andrews, and his hot take on the emerging LIV golf events. Let's look at what he had to say about all these things. Up next, McIlroy's allegiance with his people. In a world where most people prefer to be politically correct and diplomatic, McIlroy is not afraid to take sides. This became clear when he mentioned in a recent interview that when it comes to the Ryder Cup or even the President's Cup, he's rooting for the international. We mean, it makes sense. As an Irishman, he'd obviously not want to support the US. His heart is still with his people, or other people representing his people. And that became all the more evident because a faint smile and a look of longing concluded his face as he spoke of the Ryder Cup back in 2012. If you don't remember what we're talking about, let's jog your memory a little. The Miracle at Medina was quite literally one of the most miraculous and spectacular golf matches in the history of golf. And the Ryder Cup, the Europeans won a breathtaking victory against the US. It was clear that McIlroy was longing to see something like that happen again, but he did acknowledge, albeit with a little disappointment, that in the recent match, even though it almost felt like the internationals almost just had it, the US does deserve appreciation for winning against them by 5 points. He went on to express his excitement for the upcoming Ryder Cup, and while most people are a little wary of new players, this man appears to be a risk taker because he's hyped to see what newer players have to offer. Coming up, the thirst for revenge continues. Okay, so we all have things that we just can't move on from. No, really though, it's so hard to let go of some things, and we can't find peace until we settle the score. If settling the score is what keeps us going and motivated, maybe it's not such a bad thing. You know what they say, revenge is the mother of innovation. Or was it a necessity? Doesn't matter, because in this case, his desire for vengeance keeps him wanting to innovate new roads to victory. We're talking about the very fresh wound inflicted on him by his recent loss at St. Andrews. His pride and his heart were both equally wounded around 2 months ago when he lost a match in that stadium. There's nothing more frustrating than almost winning, and that is what happened to Rory in St. Andrews during the 150th Open Championship. Come on, guys! This win could have added the 5th major title to his collection of titles, and who doesn't want more titles, right? Watching that opportunity slip out of his hands must have hurt. The pain was doubled because St. Andrews held a special place in his heart. One of the greatest wins of his career back in 2007 happened in the same stadium. It makes sense for him to want to continue the streak, but alas, we can't have what we want all the time. But there's no harm in trying, and that's exactly what Rory plans on doing. Then again, are some daddy issues involved here? And we don't mean this in the degrading sense at all. We all have daddy issues because most of us want to make our father proud, even if we deny it. And so perhaps the greatest setback for McIlroy Jr. was that he felt as if losing St. Andrews in some ways made his father feel disappointed in him. Aw, come on, Rory. We're sure he's very proud of you. But he did go on to say that he's trying not to think too much about the loss. That's the spirit, because he inevitably spent the rest of the week playing peacefully with his father. He also said that if he were ever to make a team of 4 players, his father would be in it. Oh, by the way, his father is quite literally his gateway into the world of golf. He learned what he knows from McIlroy's senior, Jerry. And so it makes perfect sense that he puts the man on a pedestal. It's kind of sweet in a way. Don't you think so, guys? It made us think that golf can actually be a really nice father-child bonding time. We'd be sure to adopt some of these practices in our life too. Thank you, Mr. Jerry. What's more, he had a few cents on the LIV crap. Sheesh, okay. Hold your horses, McIlroy. Crap is one very strong word, but hey, we kind of do understand where the man is coming from, so we can't really blame him all that much. So to give you a brief context of what's happening, because of course we can't expect you to be updated with everything, you're not Rory McIlroy after all. Recently, the Saudi-backed golf circuit has been trying its level best to get accreditation. They have made countless attempts with the official World Golf Ranking to no avail, and while McIlroy was sympathetic about their demands, he also expressed that there's time and place for negotiations, and now is not that time, nor the place. He argued that back in his day, golf was more of a united sport. Why the split in between? We can see why it would bother a man as traditional as him, and with the kind of legacy he has, to see such changes or demands for development in the sport. We don't really have a fixed view on the whole issue, and we'd like to hear your thoughts too. But at the end of the day, McIlroy established that every game has some rules, and to succeed, you must follow the rules. The current ranking system awards people on the basis of those rules, and for him, that's a fair evaluation. Looks like someone's not much of a revolutionary, is he? Lastly, what makes a good golfer in Rory's eyes? This man may not be very pro-change, but he's progressive in the sense that he doesn't think that a list of the world's best rankings can accurately decide who plays the game the best. He mentioned that a man could be ranked very low on the list because of the lack of following rules, but he could still be quite the challenge. So as crucial as the list is, it's not the defining factor of the career of a golfer. We'd have to agree with you on that one, Rory. Anyway, that's all for today, folks. Let us know what your thoughts on Rory's hot takes are in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.